things you have to look for, kind of the warning signs for a redshirt freshman making his first start in a real SEC environment like this?
I think Cutter's, he's experienced it, which has been good from the standpoint of already having a couple starts under his belt. Again, we're just focused on one play at a time, trying to make him as prepared as can be. Certainly the bye week has helped from knowing the plan standpoint, but he's going to have to go in there and just play like he plays. He's played a lot of football and go in there confidently.
Obviously, the noise is a big thing, but is there anything operationally where you want to get the plays in quicker so that they can have more time to make sure that everybody's where they need to be before the snap?
I think every game in that sense, you want to get the plays in as fast as you can, not only to allow them to process it, but think about what they have to get done. Certainly from the standpoint of the movement, the shifts, the motions, limiting some of those things early on is going to be critical.
When you have a young guy like Cutter and he's going in a road environment like that, does he have the full playbook available, or do you kind of limit his options, I guess, on what he's able to do and kind of simplify?
Yeah, I think it's the full playbook. Again, I mean, even in this situation, Cutter and I have been together now for more time than maybe anybody, you know what I mean? So we got a lot of comfort in that regard. The simplicity, again, will be more about the road game atmosphere at night. We know how loud it's going to be, so more of that thought.
What sort of challenges does that front present to your guys in the trenches?
A lot. I think 6 and 46 are as good as two edge guys in the league. I think everybody knows that. We've got to do a great job of not putting our edge guys in bad spots. But there's a certain level of physicality we got to play with. We got to know where those guys are on the field and try to stay out of long passing situations as much as possible.
We've talked a lot about those tight ends and how you guys are using them, but why do you think they've been so much more involved this year than maybe they were last year in the past game? Is there a reason, or is it just the way it's worked out?
I think from an identity standpoint, we've got a better feeling. Again, I've talked about this from the standpoint of being with Wolf for another year, and from a run game standpoint and the sets we want to play out of and the run schemes we want to. So there's always a transition, I think, there. But I also think, when you look at Josh and you look at Willie, they're two of the more dependable guys we have on our team from the standpoint of when practice is done, they're always in there getting extra work, making sure they know what they got to get done, whether it's called out of 11 personnel, 12 personnel. So I think it's a reliability factor, and I think it matches what our identity is offensively.
They played in a limited possession game a week ago. I think it was only 11 total. Is there something you can glean from that game and what you'll have to do to maximize your possessions against South Carolina?
Certainly, Missouri did a lot of really good things. I think their commitment to the run game later in the game is kind of what propelled that victory. But I think in this league we know, it's going to be every possession is critical, as you guys know, and I don't think we're getting up in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s very much, even when we're playing tempo-style teams. So I don't think it's much of a difference in that regard. Every possession is going to be important. Playing clean football, eliminating negatives, that's going to be the focus here as we get going.
As well as Cutter threw the ball last game, looked downfield, how vital is it with the run game to shorten the game, basically, to grind it on the road against a team like South Carolina, which could hurt you with their quarterback?
Again, I don't know if it's necessarily a Cutter thing. I just think it's in this conference how important that is, and I think you got to run the football to win. I think that's extremely important. You got to control the clock, if you will, and provide long drives to keep the defense off the field. And I think we're seeing that conference-wide, just how important that is. So whether it's Cutter and young guy making a first start or it's a fourth-year guy, you got to run the rock, and I think we know that.
Marcus talked a lot about Cutter's ability to make something out of broken plays. How can he build on that and kind of improve that skill set?
Continue to do it. I think, again, we see it all over our league. You see it all over the NFL. Certain quarterbacks have that knack when things aren't there to create yards. There was one particular in the red zone that last game. We tried to take a red zone shot. It wasn't there. He escaped to the left and ended up getting us, I think, all the way down to the 2 or 3 yard line. So it's the coordinator's best friend. When a guy can make those kind of plays, push up in the pocket is generally where it starts. And doing that's what a lot of these quarterbacks really separating themselves in football these days.
Is that feel, for the lack of a better term, is that innate or is that something coachable?
I think there's an instinctual thing to it, as you guys know, and it's how many reps guys have taken. Again, I go back to this thing of climbing in the pocket and the importance. Sometimes we think of big plays like escaping, but it normally starts with getting up in there. But quarterback's decision making on the move, again, I think is a critical thing that a lot of guys either have or don't have.
Back to the tight ends, how important have they been in the run game and their run blocking?
Yeah, they've been critical, and we've got to look for ways to not wear them out, if you will, and keep those two as well as Boyer healthy, because in that personnel group we've had success. But they've been critical again. I mean, they're physical inline guys that are athletic enough down the field. A tight end who has the ability to do both is as valuable to an offense as anybody, and certainly here at Kentucky.
How important is it to get off to a fast start on the road in your first true road game of the entire season?
You tell me. So really critical. I mean, it's going to be all those things, and you never point to one thing, whether it's starting fast, whether it's limiting negative plays, turnovers, right? But you got to be tight in this league, as we know, in every facet. Our guys practicing with that kind of urgency. We got to play clean, sound football, so the focus is ultimately on everything.
How do you feel about your depth at quarterback now with Zach still limited some?
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I mean, Bo goes out there and does a lot of really good things today, and so we're fortunate to have Bo, who's played in big games and from an instinctual standpoint has a lot of really good instincts. And so, again, I don't know how many teams are out there feeling great about their quarterback depth, but it's another thing to think about for sure. Did you get Brennan and Stone more reps during the bye week? Yeah, we did. We were able to get each of those guys about 25, 30, as live reps as we could take, which is critical, just for them to actually be running your plays. But whether they're figuring it, ready to go, I don't know if we're there yet.
It wasn't a ton of reps, but what did Jason Patterson show you with Dante kind of dealing with his dot bruise? Yeah, I don't think he's one of those guys that the moment is too big for him. Like he got in there and played well and played physical, which is what he's always really done since he's been here. And so my hats are off to Jason. I said he's one of those guys who just eliminated the outside noise. We brought in two transfers that have played a lot. He stayed focused. He went to work, and can't tell him when his time's going to come, but he's certainly put himself in position to have success because of how hard he's worked.
So one of your tight ends, I think it was Josh, described Cutter, I know they're roommates, as kind of a surfer dude, happy up, even described him as kind of a golden retriever type of guy. I don't expect you to embrace that, but how does that, or has that factored into the way he has approached his job and being a leader? I mean, just that personality.
Yeah, we'll see. I think, again, we talk about Jason Patterson. Cutter's another guy that I am appreciative to, because in his circumstance, he went about it and he's prepared like he is the starter, and I think from a leadership standpoint at the quarterback position, it always starts with your production and your play first, and so you got to go play good football. The guys around you understand that and know you'll play good ball. Then they're willing to listen, and so I think for him, the focus hasn't been on trying to do too much from a leadership standpoint. The focus is on execution, getting better, doing what he's got to do, and with that, I think the leadership role will come.
Bush, you mentioned coming out of camp, you didn't think you'd found maybe a lead guy yet at receiver. In your experience, is it common to find one over the course of the season, or is it kind of like, this is what we have, we just have to roll with it?
Yeah, I think you generally know beforehand, what I mean, of just what that situation might look like. But I'm excited about this group. I think those guys can go and play hard. It's going to be a blue-collar mentality, go make plays. I think this game's going to be an opportunity where they're going to have a chance to go make plays. And I'm proud of that group and how they've responded.
One or two more? Anybody? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.